Hey, what's going on YouTube? Glad you could join me today. Thought I'd give you a little 3-month update. I can't believe it's been 3 months, but we arrived here February 25th. So today is Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day, and for all you veterans out there, thank you so much for your service. If you've been watching the channel, thank you so much for coming back. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. Please, everybody like and subscribe. Take just a minute to do that. It really does help us out. We greatly appreciate it. Just wanted to give you kind of our 3-month update. So Lydia is in Corinto. Mother's Day is big everywhere, of course, but here seems to be especially big. I mean, there was celebrations around here yesterday. I could hear them going different places. Apparently there was a lot of mariachi bands like in the park downtown last night. Unfortunately, I am stuck in my house with Lydia being gone. When both of us are gone, we have 3 dogs. We have a little Jack Russell mix named Sam. We have a little pit mix named Abigail. And we have a big 90-pound Doberman, 3-legged Doberman named Roscoe. And Roscoe is 15 years old. Average life expectancy for a dog like him is about 11. So as our vet reminded me yesterday, he's like an old man that's 120 years old. And you can hear our crew out there barking, Sam and Roscoe. So anyway, when both of us are gone, Roscoe has, this is a new thing for him, but he has like an anxiety attack. And he's lost a lot of his vision, he's lost a lot of his hearing, and he just absolutely loses it. And he will eat anything he can get his hands on. If he has to push something over to get at it, he'll push it over. I mean, we've come home, we've left thinking we had everything pretty much under control, and come home to find that he's gotten at something and just ripped it to pieces. So it doesn't matter if it's furniture, suitcases, anything he can grab, he will destroy. And it's like an anxiety attack. He's scared. Roscoe's never been super dependent in especially the last couple months. Everywhere I go, he is a foot away from me. So if I get up 100 times, if I go to the bathroom, he's right behind me. If I go to the kitchen, he's right behind me all day long. So he just has kind of this crazy anxiety attack. So I'm kind of stuck here till Lydia gets back Wednesday night. But time has flown by this first 3 months. It has been, for the most part, wonderful. And I thought I'd just kind of run through things we have liked, things we haven't liked, so just kind of some of the things that we've learned so far. And probably number 1 is go with the flow, kind of try the best you can to relax. And I had heard another YouTuber talking about this before, that it's an issue with I'm 60, about to turn 61, and after years in the US, you try to get off that hamster wheel, and it's hard to slow down for a while. I mean, you really have to kind of keep trying to remind yourself, hey, if I don't get that done within the next hour, within the next day, the world's not going to end. So it's sometimes, and Lydia and I get strangely busy here. There's sometimes where we go for a week where we just have a lot of stuff to get done. You can't pay your bills online. So for every bill that you have to go someplace and get in line and pay the bill. So that takes up a lot of time. Banking takes a long time. Going to the grocery store. So, even though there's 2 of us, now one of us always needs to be here at home. So it just takes a while. But every once in a while, we do try to take one of those days where we just go, you know what, today, we're just not going to do anything. We're just going to relax, enjoy being here. Another thing I would say is, for any of you that are, hopefully you're going to watch us as we travel through from Mexico all the way down to Argentina. If you haven't been on this channel before, Nicaragua is our first stop in retirement. It's my wife's home country. She wanted to start here, visit family. We're going to be here for about a year. We're actually leaving. Our plan is to leave the end of February. And we'll probably start heading north. There's 3 places in Guatemala we want to go visit. Then there's some places in Mexico we want to go visit. So that's probably 2024. We'll mostly be in Guatemala, and then we'll head over into Mexico. But I hope that you join us. But all from Mexico all the way down to Argentina, you're going to see all these different countries, what it's like to live there, cost of living, good things, bad things. But the one thing is, all those countries all speak Spanish. So if Nicaragua is not right for you, and Nicaragua is not right for everybody, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of differences between these countries. So if Nicaragua doesn't turn out to be your thing, maybe Argentina is, maybe Colombia is, maybe it's Ecuador, maybe it's Mexico. So you've got a lot of options if you learn a little bit of Spanish. Now, in our house, for decades, it was Lydia speaking Spanish, me answering in English. Looking back, I wish all those years I would have been answering in Spanish. Because I remember one of our daughters making some joke about, we were a couple weeks away from moving here, and she made some crack about my Spanish. And I remember thinking, my Spanish is fine, I'm not going to have any issues there. As soon as I got here, it quickly became apparent my Spanish was not as good as I thought. Now, I can still go to the store and have basic conversations with people. I understand, good percentage of what they say, but it's definitely lacking, and much more than I thought it was. So I would say definitely learn some Spanish. If Nicaragua doesn't turn out to be the place for you, there's so many other choices. So if you're trying to maybe retire early, move to a place where the lower cost of living, where things are more relaxed, it's very possible one of these countries is going to turn out to be like your favorite place. Music. One of the things that we're going to talk about is noise, but music is everywhere. If you don't love it, learn to love it. And this was the same in Costa Rica when we lived there many years ago. Ranchero music, probably, there's bachata, there's other ones, probably mostly salsa. So if you've never listened to Mark Anthony or Jerry Rivera, just, go on to, YouTube or wherever and just type in, salsa music greatest hits, and you're going to hear a lot of really great music. I love it. I've been listening to it for a long, long time now because of Lydia. In our house, it was kind of Lydia playing salsa and me playing country classics, the old country music. So it was quite a combo. But I really love the music. Here, you're going to hear it everywhere. Your neighbors are going to be playing it. When you walk around downtown, the stores will have big speakers out front. They're going to be cranking the music out. So you're going to hear Latin music, and I love it. But if you don't like it, then you're probably going to want to move farther out, maybe out, farther away from downtown. Farther away you move from downtown, the quieter things are going to get. Which leads me to the next thing, noise. If you don't like noise, you need to move farther out, because there's a few things you're going to hear. You're going to hear neighbors talking. You're going to hear motorcycles that are very loud for some reason. I know in the U.S., a lot of the Harley riders, there's a motorcycle, a lot of the Harley riders, they like their motorcycles really loud, and one of the reasons, it sounds cool, but it's also, I want the cars to know when I'm coming. I want them to hear me before I get there. So it's a safety thing, and maybe that's the same reason here, but motorcycles are real loud. There are people that have giant speakers mounted on top of their cars that are paid to drive through neighborhoods, and they're running advertisements. So it says, hey, it's Mother's Day, come buy your flowers at this store. Which reminds me, Lydia is in Corinto, her hometown, for Mother's Day. and is very, very happy to be there with her family. Mother's Day is big everywhere, but really, really big here in Nicaragua, and that is Tuesday, with today being Memorial Day, so that's tomorrow. So, you're going to hear motorcycles, cars, you're going to hear the speakers. If you don't like noise, at night it's completely quiet. You don't have to worry about like sleeping. But during the day it's noisy. If you really don't like that, you should probably think about moving a little bit farther out away. The farther out you get, the quieter it'll be. Vegan food. If you don't know, I've been vegan this July 4th. It will be 6 years. So vegan food. I'm eating much healthier here than I was in the US. And the reason is because all of the new vegan processed foods, all the vegan cheeses, the fake meats, the Impossible Whoppers, the Beyond Burgers, the Gardein chicken nuggets, none of that is here. None of it's available. If it is, I would have to get it like in Managua, which is about a 3.5 hour drive. Lydia's family goes over there every once in a while and they ask us if we need something, because over there's Walmart, there's Price Mart, so you can get stuff like that. But, and I do miss it. I miss all those things. I miss having a great big Impossible Whopper or Beyond Burger or chicken nuggets or something. But it has kind of forced me to eat healthier. So now it's more beans, more chickpeas, more veggies, to take the place of all that stuff. So probably very good for me, but I do miss it. And so if you have, certain diet limitations, you may have to, and you can't even get Amazon delivered. One of the expats told me they have it sent to Managua and somehow like people can bring it over here for you. I don't know how that works, but you can get Amazon, and you can always run over to Managua to, bring back a big load from Walmart or Price Mart if you need something special. Okay, a couple of the things that we don't like. Litter. When we lived in Costa Rica many, many years ago, and I remember reading a lot of different tourism books about Costa Rica before I went there the first time. And one of the things that I kept reading in all the books was, hey, Costa Ricans, the Ticos, which is what they call themselves, the Ticos are world-class litter bugs. And it was true. Somebody lit a match, lit a cigarette, match went on the sidewalk, finished with a cigarette, the cigarette got thrown down, any wrappers, it didn't matter, just litter everywhere. And you'd see people doing it right in front of you, and it didn't matter. And it's exactly the same way here. And unless you're in a house that's like $1,000 a month or more, you're going to see litter. It's just one of those things. It's, if I could, wave my magic wand and change Nicaragua in one thing, and it's not my country, I'm just a visitor in this beautiful place, but that's the one thing I'd probably choose to change, is if I could just clean up the litter. So one thing that we don't like, I would say another big thing which you have to get used to, we lived 40 years in Florida, right on cue, kind of. That's one of the cars with the big speakers doing advertisements to the neighborhood. So I lived in Sarasota most of my life. We lived in Naples for 6 or 7 years. And that's a pretty good example. Everything in Naples, there's homeowners associations, everything's the same color, everything's manicured. It all looks very planned. Not quite as much like that in Sarasota. But then when we left Florida about 20 years ago, we moved up to Pennsylvania. We were there for a couple years, and then mostly in Georgia and the Carolinas. But up there, it's not like that at all. And it takes a while to get used to. It's like, boy, it's not, everything's not perfect looking, perfectly manicured like in Naples. Now, after a very short time, you just kind of get used to how it looks. Everybody, within reason and within the laws and regulations and everything, you can kind of do your own thing. And that's what it's like here. I mean, so one, you've got your litter. Two, you've got, whatever you want to do as far as building a house, you can do pretty much whatever you want. There's not a lot of rules and regulations. So things look different here. And so I had one of my best friends told me a couple days ago, he's like, man, when you were kind of walking around downtown, he goes, I don't know. He said, I think I'd just be depressed looking at that all the time. And I understand what he means, but at the same time, it's like, after a week or two of walking for hours and hours around downtown, I don't even think about it anymore. I mean, that's just what it looks like around here. So it does look different. I mean, like they use what they call Zen, which is those big pieces of tin, like for the roofs. They use that on not only every roof in the country almost, but they use it for everything, walls and all kinds of stuff. So it's like those old pieces of tin, and they're just everywhere. So if you don't like that look, I mean, it's just how it is here. And really, after a couple weeks, I never noticed it anymore. But it is a different look, and you have to kind of get used to it. But to me, I liked the look of Sarasota better than Naples. So, that plan where everything is exactly the same color, the homeowners association gives you like 2 choices of paint. I was never really crazy about that. I mean, it looks nice, I guess, but some things that we love. And the first thing I will tell you is we are so happy. I want to make sure everybody understands. We are so happy with our decision to retire. Now, we retired when I was 60 and Lydia was 55. I'm about to turn 61 here next week. But we don't regret it at all. We are thrilled. Our long-term plan that we have been planning for 10 years was to get out at 62. We were lucky in a few things. I mean, everything seemed to work out just right with the price of real estate going up really fast in Greenville. Everything just worked out perfectly for us to get out early, and we don't regret it at all. We are so happy, and like leaving the work stress behind, I really truly believe that will save us years off our life, whether it's just better, more productive years. Now we've got a couple years extra while we're not so old that we can't go out and have an adventure and do things. But I really believe our lifespan is going to be a little bit longer, just getting away from that stress. And I was pretty much always in corporate America, and it's changed a tremendous amount. And I'll give you like the best example. And maybe it's because I'm 60 and I was just tired of the corporate nonsense. And so here's a great example. Most of my whole career, 37 years, I was in the investment business. And I worked as a financial advisor for a couple of the largest banks in Florida. I was a municipal bond trader for Payne Weber. I worked as a regional VP and wholesaler for ING, Jackson National, Symetra, which was a Warren Buffett company. But the last 15 years, I worked at 2 enormous healthcare facilities as a retirement counselor. So I got out of sales, luckily, and got into education. So didn't pay nearly as good as the sales, but I loved being an educator, and I was ready to bail out of the constant pressure of more sales, more sales, more sales, more sales. I had had enough, and I really liked the idea of just helping people. People would come. We administered the plan, like at Wake Forest Baptist in Winston-Salem. I was there for almost 10 years, nine years and change. 24,000 employees. There was 3 of us there. When they had a question about the retirement plan, they'd come meet with us. Then I moved to Greenville, South Carolina, and worked for Greenville Health, which later changed the name to Prisma Health. 5 of us there administered the plan for 34,000 employees, the largest employer in the state of South Carolina. So you might still go on that website. My picture still might be up. Last time I checked, it was. But anyway, it was a wonderful job, but the corporate stuff got to me after a while. And the best example I can give you is like my first manager when I was at Wake Forest, when I was just starting there, he told me, look, when you meet with people, every once in a while, politics is going to come up. And just stay away from it. There's one of the loud motorcycles. Politics is going to come up. And he goes, my response to anybody that starts in on that is, hey, you know, we're not going to be able to change the world today, but we can at least go through your retirement plan and help you out with that. And I was perfectly fine with that. Because if you start in on politics, you're either immediately, for half the people, you're going to be, hey, he's one of us, and for the other half, you're going to be, he's the enemy. So I always thought that that was the best plan, is just stay away from politics. The last couple of years, it got to be where the corporate nonsense was being pushed at you. And I'll give you the best example. Like we were kept being pushed into watching these programs where they were talking about systemic racism. And it wasn't posed as a question like, is there systemic racism in the United States? It was, there is systemic racism, and this is what we're telling you. You know, this is all the stuff that backs our opinion. Look, I'm not saying there's not racists in every country. There are. But we were a tri-racial family living in the deep South for many years. I mean, most of our family is Hispanic. I'm the only gringo. You know, we have 4 daughters and 10 grandkids. And the grandkids are either 100% Hispanic. 3 of the grandkids are half Hispanic and half Asian. So, you know, and we lived in what would be considered the deep South. And out of all those years, I remember one problem where one of our girls walked into, I think she was down in Georgia, walked into an old, like a general store kind of place in the middle of nowhere, and some old man made a comment like, hey, we don't serve your kind here. You know, and she walked out and basically was like, okay, I'll spend my money elsewhere. It was not a huge thing, but the whole, hey, everybody's a racist, and we're not asking you, we're telling you. And you're required to watch this program and watch that program and go through this module and that module. I gotta tell you, I was really happy to never ever have to do that again. So that's one of the things I loved. I also loved leaving behind the super high cost of living. You know, here, Lydia and I still, you know, if you want to know cost of living, we're still spending somewhere about $1,100 a month. And that's excluding money that we're spending on our 3 senior dogs. We're pretty much running like a hospice for dogs here. They're all older, they're happy and they're doing okay, but they're seriously old. So we have spent a ton of money. They did get sick with something when they got here called ehrlichios, and I may not even be pronouncing that right, but it's something that they got from being bit by a tick, and it can be fatal and it can cause all kinds of problems. And we since then have spent a couple grand easy on all kinds of medications, blood tests, and luckily all the medicines they were getting, they're all fine and it's gone. And our vet has been over, I mean, I hate to say every night, he's missed a couple nights, but almost every single night he'll come by, check on the dogs. You know, he may have to give them a shot or something, but almost every day. So that part has been wonderful. We don't have to drag them to a vet place, put them in a car, go anywhere. He comes here, and that has been absolutely awesome. So, but besides that, we're spending somewhere around $1,100 a month. We could do it for less than that, or we could spend a lot more. But we don't go out a lot at night because of the dogs. So How many of them will actually be leaving with us the end of next February when we start heading to Guatemala? Who knows? But our plan is eventually we're going to head to Guatemala. We want to spend about 6 months there in Antigua, Lake Atitlan, and Xela, 3 different places. And then we'll cross the border into Mexico, where at least our first stop will be San Cristobal de las Casas. So that's kind of the plan going forward. I would just say, the other thing is, again, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, if you're coming here to retire, relax. I mean, you just have to keep kind of telling yourself for a while, and it's not easy, but you have to kind of tell yourself, hey, if I don't do this in the next hour, if I don't do this in the next day, the world's not going to end. I'm retired. I can, take your time. Don't stress about things. Thank you so much. If you're watching this channel, we greatly appreciate it. Please take a minute to like and subscribe. Again, if you are thinking about trying to leave the rat race a little early, maybe you don't want to work for the next 3 or 4 years, you'd like those 3 or 4 or 5 years, extra while you're still young enough to go have an adventure, have some fun, please follow us around as we go country to country, and we will show you the smart things we do, the stupid things we do, answer any questions you have. Please feel free to comment down below. I'm happy to answer any questions. But thank you so much for joining this channel. And we will be coming out with some videos. Lydia's going to send some over for Mother's Day in Corinto to kind of show you what she's doing over there. So that should be good, and we're looking forward to that. But if you're trying to get out of the rat race, you want to retire a little early, you want an adventure, Nicaragua may or may not be the right spot for you, but one of these countries surely might be, because we're going to be going to a lot of them. But just remember, there has to be something more. If you're bored, you want to get out, you want to retire early, go to a lower cost of living country to get out a little bit early, you can do it. And you don't need as much as you think. So just remember, there has to be something more.